Hey Dan, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, how's it going?
Awesome. Hey, sorry about that, man. I swore I've used Zoom before, but for some reason it just wasn't.
It's all good. That's the thing with technology. Sometimes things just don't work, but glad
Right.
we got it figured out.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, cool. Well, thanks for joining us. How's your day going so far?
Good, man. Just busy rushing around, some things popped up this morning, but we got it taken care of, so we're all good. What about you?
That's awesome. Yeah, similar deal. Just been in meetings all morning and have been excited about this. So thank you so much for joining us here.
Oh, yeah, no problem. Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited too.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate it. Yeah, let's just jump right into it. So just tell us about your story. How'd you get into freelancing?
Yeah, sure. So I kind of started freelance copywriting after working at a physician's office as kind of a health promotions coordinator. Copywriting, I kind of got in on the health and wellness side. I was writing, copy for marketing materials and different things for their company to kind of get their employees excited and engaged in their health and wellness worksite program. So I kind of jumped in from that angle and just started to love writing and blog posts and all that good stuff. So from there, I kind of transitioned out of the standard 9 to 5 and started freelancing on the side and just kind of eventually built up a good client base to be able to quit and, do that full time. And so from there, I kind of started working with companies in all different types of industries, doing all kinds of different copywriting to support their marketing efforts.
That's awesome. Well, you're living the dream. You've stepped out of the corporate world and taken on the role of running your own business.
Yeah, no, it's been exciting. It was a good move for sure.
Yeah. Has it been fun so far?
Oh, absolutely. Not having to go into an office and kind of run, your own thing and work where you want. It's been great. Loving it.
Yeah, that's super cool. So, why copywriting? I mean, what excites you about that? I know on your website you have content strategists as well. So, how did you decide on copywriting and content strategy?
Yeah, well, so really, I mean, before freelancing, kind of working at the prior job, I was really enjoying writing for them. So kind of, always been super into marketing and figuring out messages that convert and things that really grab people's attention and influence people to buy has always been super interesting and exciting to me. So that's kind of I had a passion for that kind of from the start, and so I just kind of pursued that.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, so tell us, for those of you that don't know out there, can you tell us what copywriting actually is? Because I've heard the word copywriting, and before I got into marketing, I associated it with like something similar to the trademark.
Exactly. No, and it's funny you mentioned that because I get that all the time. I'll get a DM on Instagram from a musician or somebody saying, "Hey, I'm trying to copyright my album, and can you help me with that?" Or great
That's
stuff like
awesome.
that. Or another common one is people think I'm an underwriter, for insurance or something. So, yeah, so I just put out a blog about it. Hey, what the heck is a copywriter? Because yeah, a lot of
Okay.
people, if you're not in marketing, you don't know. But essentially, I guess in simple terms, copywriting. What we do is we create the copy or the writing, the words for different marketing materials. So common examples would be writing the content that would be you'd see on a billboard ad, maybe a social media post, a little one-liner, content for any type of advertising materials, brochures, landing pages, all that good stuff. That's a copywriter writes those things.
Cool, cool. And so the research that I've done, it's all about the psychology of your target market, correct?
Definitely. Yeah. And I mean, and that's kind of the benefit of hiring a copywriter. I mean, anybody can, pound out a landing page or write an about our business page on their website. But it's really, you kind of bring in that professional when you want to say the right words to kind of engage that audience and really get them to buy. I mean, anybody can say, hey, look, we're selling books or whatever, but it's that description that's going to really motivate that person to go, oh, wow, I got to read this. Let me click and order that from Amazon or whatever they're looking at.
Yeah, and that's like a super important piece, because if you're going to take the time to build a website or a landing page or a sales funnel, then your copy better be on point. Otherwise, your customers are not going to be interested in what you have to offer. So
exactly.
Is there a process that you go through whenever you identify your client's target market? Like how do you go about doing that to get to the final copy?
Sure. Yeah. So I guess, the process definitely starts directly with the client, kind of talking to them and figuring out, okay, who are you selling to? Who's your target audience? What's their age? All the good demographics. And then working with them to see what their end goal is. What are you trying to accomplish here by selling this product? And then once we really get a good understanding of who they're talking to, we can kind of go in and write that copy. So yeah, that's super important. And I would say it just starts with the client and making sure they know their market really well and who they're targeting. And then we can use that to create something really compelling.
Yeah. Would you say that most of your clients understand their market, or are you able to help them like dive deeper into understanding like who exactly their target market is?
Sure. So I would say typically in my case, they have a pretty good understanding, because most of my clientele, I work with a lot of marketing agencies, a lot of subcontracting and stuff. So they kind of have it pretty dialed in. But, there is some cases where I'm working directly with, a business who's kind of really overall trying to dial in that strategy. So if that's the case, yeah, it's kind of analyzing all of their materials, everything they're doing, and helping them put together a good target market profile that we can use when we're running ads or creating content.
Yeah. Have you ever used anything related to like a customer avatar, like a sheet to where you fill out that kind of related material?
Totally. Yeah. Kind of a standard worksheet where you're, filling in all those little info points. Absolutely.
Cool. Yeah. And we have one of those on file. So I'll put that in link down below whenever we post this content for our members to have access to that. Because I think as a marketer, and you can talk to this as well, that is the first piece to nailing your marketing, is identifying who that target customer is. And so then once you have that idea, you're better able to craft the exact wording that you want to put on your landing pages and on your sales funnel. Would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely.
Cool. So is there like any sort of training that you have done? Like how did you, whenever you first got started, how did you take this to the next level? Like what did you do to become an expert in this?
Sure. So I would say definitely, school. I took some marketing classes and some different, promotional stuff like that. So that kind of set the foundation. And then honestly, kind of I'm very self-taught, kind of getting in there and learning and testing and seeing what works and what doesn't. I have some, a few certifications on top of that too, an SEO certification, which is super helpful for writing copy, some HubSpot inbound certifications too. So some more formal education, and then, just kind of diving in and doing it and learning as you go was a big part of it as well.
What is HubSpot? I've heard of it and I've kind of looked into it, but could you dive deeper into exactly what that is and how that would help somebody?
Yeah, definitely. So I would definitely recommend any business owners or marketing professionals that are kind of looking to expand on their craft. Definitely check out HubSpot. First, they're a huge online resource. They've got some great blogs, on all kinds of different topics related to marketing, social media, copywriting, all that good stuff. They have a bunch of free resources on their website too. So that's kind of, but ultimately they have a big CRM platform. That's what they sell, but they do, a lot more than that. They have some different trainings and courses that you can sign up for too, for marketing and things like that.
Cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Let's talk like obstacles. making the jump from from working for somebody else in the corporate world and making the jump into freelancing, like was that scary? Were there obstacles that you had to overcome? And then also, not to add too much to this question, but like, how did you go about getting clients in the beginning?
Yeah, definitely. So I would say, it's my story. It's kind of interesting because I started, I was working the corporate job, but during college and before that, I ran a fitness company for a while. So I was doing a lot of coaching. So I was, really experimenting with the whole entrepreneurship type thing for several years, kind of before taking the leap. So for me, it wasn't like a huge shock because I was already kind of doing other side projects and side businesses at the same time. And for me, I just, that's kind of always been in my DNA. I've never enjoyed working for a company and just kind of that corporate lifestyle. So it wasn't very scary. It was more of a, hey, I have to do this. This is really the only option for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was what I was super passionate about and what I wanted to do. So I was more scared to stay there and not pursue it. But obstacles, definitely, finding clients. I mean, that's, everybody's number one is, hey, okay, cool. I want to do this, but
yeah,
I need to find somebody to pay me to do it if I want to actually be successful. So,
sure.
I would say I kind of started, mentioning that I had some other businesses and things going. I had networked with quite a few other entrepreneurs and business owners. So I had a decent little network to kind of tap from the beginning. I kind of reached out to some different contacts and said, hey, I'm starting this, copywriting business and, just offering any help if they needed it. So I kind of got, rolling that way, got a few clients from just my network. And then from there, social media has been huge for me. I'd say LinkedIn and, Instagram, I've generated quite a bit of business that way.
Cool.
I would say obstacles are always keeping the pipeline full, right? Having business that's regular. So, the one way that I overcome that is always being on the lookout for new opportunities and, reaching out to other people and trying to form new relationships.
Awesome. So let's talk LinkedIn. You mentioned that. That's one way that I've been able to do that with my business as well. Was there like a process that you went through to kind of optimize your page so that if you're adding connections that positions you as an expert in a certain area? Did you reword the body of the page? Did you add in certifications? How'd you go about doing that?
Yeah, definitely. So that was definitely step one, was making sure your profile was professional and complete, a nice professional summary and then some work experience and, education certifications like you mentioned. And then another big part, I think, was just kind of regularly posting content. I post some blogs native to the LinkedIn platform quite frequently.
Okay.
And then just kind of sharing other content outside of that, just so that, those connections, you're staying relevant in their feed, they're seeing you, and they remember who you are.
So do you actually do blog style posts on your website and then share those on your LinkedIn, or do you do them within the LinkedIn platform?
Yeah, so I'll publish it on my website, but then I'll republish it natively on LinkedIn, just because, for organic reach, I mean, LinkedIn wants to push out things that are published directly on their platform. So I get a little bit better of a response if I publish right on there versus just sharing the link from my site.
Okay, so that makes sense. So you'll go ahead and write the content for your website, and then you just go and copy and paste essentially that content into the native LinkedIn platform.
Yeah, and then I'll, at the top there, I'll put like this article originally appeared on, danmarzullo.com, just to kind of, so it says, hey, this isn't, the first place, but it's still native.
Absolutely. And so have you gotten some good engagement from your connections on those articles that you're posting?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, just some, whether it's like an email or like a message on LinkedIn of, hey, that was interesting and, cool, didn't know that or whatever it was. And then some good engagement too.
Cool. Well, it sounds like that's, that kind of fits into the give first ethos, add value to other people's lives. And I know a lot of online business owners and entrepreneurs really focus on like giving away their best knowledge, because essentially if you can help somebody else out in their business, they're more likely to come to you and ask you for help whenever they need work. Would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So whenever you were first getting started, did you go and like work for some clients and just do some projects just for free for testimonials and to get the word out there? Or how did you go about that? Or did you charge from the beginning?
Yeah, I did some free stuff kind of here and there as opportunities came, but I already actually had a, decent little portfolio built up from, some of the content and the marketing materials from my corporate gig. So I kind of, posted those on my portfolio, on my website to just, give some clients some context so they could see what I've done. And
Cool.
so that kind of helped get paid kind of right off the bat and not have to do a ton of free work.
Yeah, that's cool. And I think there's a fine balance there. And that's a huge question for anybody getting started into entrepreneurship is what's the balance of, how much free work do I give out in order to get the testimonials? Because, you being a marketer, we know how powerful testimonials are on landing pages and on websites. But I think there's got to be a point where you really put your foot down and say, if I don't value my time as an entrepreneur, then why would anybody else value that time? And so I know that I've had conversations with, other freelancers or other entrepreneurs, and they get stuck in doing that free work. And ultimately, you kind of have to make the decision in your mind that, hey, my time is worth this much to me, and therefore it's going to be worth that much to other people. And I'm a huge believer in the fact that if you make that decision for yourself, then you'll attract the other people who are willing to actually pay you for that work.
Sure.
Yeah. And, I think it's a hard thing for a lot of people in entrepreneurship getting started because nobody wants to have the money conversation, right? That's probably one of the hardest pieces. Especially when you're a younger entrepreneur, when you're talking to an established 40 or 45-year-old business owner who's been in business for 20 years. And then it's inevitable that you're going to have to talk about pricing, right? How do you handle that? At what point in the conversation with a new client do you go into the pricing conversation? Or do you have a second follow-up call to where you do a proposal?
Yeah, I'd say it definitely depends. I've had, some depending on the client situation, right? If the first call is just kind of discovery and you're figuring out, okay, what do they need? How can we help? And then, so a lot of times I'll follow that up with a proposal, something that's a little more formal. But, if it's somebody that we kind of already have a clear understanding of what they're looking for and they're ready to go, after that conversation of figuring out what they need, it comes down to, okay, here's kind of what the time commitment's going to look like on our end with what you need. Here's the resources involved. So then from there, I just kind of present, and for that kind of here's the compensation or the fee structure for whatever it is that we're offering, whether it's regular monthly support that's kind of being billed at an hourly rate or a retainer-based rate. So it really just totally depends on the client. Everything's pretty custom to their needs. But yeah, I kind of dive into that or lead into that conversation by talking about, okay, here's what we need to provide and here's kind of what it's going to cost.
Cool. And so with that, is the majority of work that you do specific to like Facebook and AdWords copy? Is it website copy? Is it landing page? Is it promotional banners, or do you do a little bit of everything?
Yeah, I'd say a little bit of everything. So quite a bit of landing page work, blog posts, regular blogging for different clients, Facebook ads, social media copy, email newsletters, a lot of mailers too, a lot of flyers and things that they're sending out to kind of promote or advertise for events and things like that too.
Cool. Is there any specific resources that you kind of go to whenever you want to study up and kind of, sharpen your sword that you would recommend to other people out there who, maybe are just getting started and they want to just get something that's good enough out there before hiring somebody like you?
Sure. Yeah, definitely. I would say HubSpot's got a lot of great resources. They have some templates and things, whether you're, crafting a landing page or a newsletter, those are helpful. And then Navel Medora, he's a copywriter. He runs a copywriting course. So you could Google that. And he has a lot of free resources too, from everything from writing an ebook to landing page copy and sales scripts, you name it. So those are.
And what was his name?
It's Navel Medora.
Okay. How do you spell that?
So it's going to be NEVILLEMEDHORA. And I believe it's just copywritingcourse.com actually.
Okay. Okay, cool.
He spells it weird. He spells copywriting and course both with a K just to be different. So
okay. And that's kind of your go-to for just keeping up with the trends and a knowledge spot?
Absolutely.
Cool. Very cool. So we kind of touched on that piece from a beginner standpoint, from somebody who's kind of just trying to get their business off the ground, keep expenses low. Obviously, as an entrepreneur, you wear a ton of different hats, and
sure.
There's enough content, I think, out there on the internet to study something in an afternoon and be deadly enough to get started, right?
Mm-hmm.
But let's talk about an entrepreneur who is a little bit more established, or a business owner who's a little bit more established, and they've got, a million different things going, and they don't have time to focus on writing the copy and like getting really detailed into who their customer is. What would somebody, at what point would you recommend somebody coming to you in like a certain stage of their business?
Sure. Yeah. So I would say, anybody that's kind of beyond those beginner stages and they have, maybe a bit of a marketing budget to put towards helping them. Cause yeah, I know in the beginning you have to do everything yourself. You have a lot less coming in, so it's hard to kind of hire out. But I'd say, as soon as you reach that point that you can bring on an additional resource to help to do it, because that frees up your time to, focus on other business development activities and continue growing. And then at the same time, having, I guess in my case, a copywriter on board, ideally it's going to help you bring in more business too, when your content's better and, somebody like me helping you develop that strategy and really narrow in that target market, then those ad dollars you can kind of be more effective with. So yeah, anybody who's kind of at that stage of really wanting to grow and kind of has the foundation for their business laid down, and they've, got a good proof of concept and they're ready to rock.
Cool. Very cool. So if I'm a business owner and I were to come to you, do I need to have a strategy set in place and just hire you for copywriting, or is that something that you offer as a complete package? Do you put the whole complete strategy together?
Yeah. It's definitely, depends on what they're looking for. I mean, if they're just, hey, Dan, we need you to crank out, X amount of blog posts every month or whatever, just to kind of add into the current strategy, I could definitely do that. But if you're looking to really just kind of ramp up the whole thing and get a strategy going, I can offer that as well. Cool.
What does that look like from like if I wanted to say, hey, we're looking at a complete strategy, let's say I own a design business,
sure,
a graphic design business, and I really want to just outsource all of my content marketing.
Mm-hmm.
What would a plan like that look like? Like what are we doing, like a blog a week, a blog a month? Like how do you structure those services?
Sure. Yeah. So definitely start with a good discovery meeting with that client to figure out, okay, really understand their business first. Cause, blogging once a week might make sense for one company, but not for the other. So just kind of understanding what they're doing, doing an audit of what they're already doing as far as content goes. Are they publishing content on social media regularly? Are they sending anything out? What are they doing? And then from there, just kind of presenting that plan to kind of optimize everything and put together that full strategy. So, so sometimes that's, okay, let's post X amount of pieces of content on, LinkedIn and Twitter or whatever channels are most effective for their business. And then, creating a weekly piece of content that's going out on their blog. A lot of times, if it's, say, for example, say they're a company that's, in the mortgage industry. So their base of contacts is a lot of real estate agents. So we'll send out, a lot of newsletters and email content to kind of keep engaged with their contacts. So it really just depends on the business itself. The strategy is completely built around that.
Very cool. Well, I think it's at a certain point, every business needs to consider either outsourcing or bringing on somebody to handle this piece, right? Because it's such an important piece of the business as far as marketing goes.
Sure.
Let me ask you this. I'm always curious in everybody that I talk to who's in entrepreneurship. What are some of the daily habits that you commit to from a personal standpoint and also from a business standpoint to keep yourself and your business moving forward?
Sure. Just kind of like daily practices type of thing.
Whether that be, anything across the board, whether it be directly related to the business or not. I know personally, like, a couple things I commit to are, I work out 4 times a week and I make sure to do cardio 3 times a week. Right.
Yeah, right.
I talk to a lot of people who are, who commit to that. There's also other things related to my business that I commit to on a daily basis. And I'm always just interested in hearing, everybody else's daily commitments as well.
Sure. Yeah, no, that's a great question because I'm always interested in studying what other people are doing. And, if they're in a position, that's where I want to be down the road, okay, what are they doing that I'm not? I'd say just managing my day. I mean, time management is huge. Starting the day early. I start every day at 5. And then I usually head right to the gym, eat some breakfast, get to the gym. And like you said, get that workout in to get your mind focused and get clear. And then I always feel like, once I do that, I'm just kind of ready to crush the day, whatever kind of tasks or workload I've got in front of me. It's, you're kind of focused and ready to go. I always try to start, during the week, start it off with a workout to kind of set me up for success. And then, from there, I keep a really good schedule every day of, the night before, at least I'll have my day planned out for that next day. If not,
nice.
Yeah. If not an entire week in advance. So just kind of blocking my time and having, every hour accounted for so that I'm not wasting time. And then I always like to kind of tackle the most important or the biggest projects first,
Yeah.
So it's easy to kind of go, oh, let's do this thing and this, and you do all these little things, but then, your day's half over and you have no energy to kind of knock out the big thing. So, so I'd say just tackling the big things in the morning when I have the most energy. So I think that I'm definitely most effective, before noon. Then, after that, just kind of carry on that momentum throughout the day. And then I'll usually work till just totally depends on the day and the tasks I've got in front of me, whether I stop at 6 or some days 8 or 9 p.m., just depending on what's going on. So really, I guess daily practice is just keeping that schedule and making sure I get that gym time in there. Those are kind of the most important pieces for me. And then I always end the day, relax a little bit because it's hard to kind of go shift right from work mode right to bed. I've tried to do that quite a bit, and then you just kind of end up awake for the next 2 hours. So just, spending some time decompressing and unwinding is super important too, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would agree with you on pretty much everything that you said there. There's a couple super important pieces that I think we can reiterate on. But, one thing that stuck out is you talked about doing the most important task first. I know Tim Ferriss talks a lot about that, eating the frog, I think is what he calls it. And so, I know, and I've talked to a lot of people in the tech world, and they've tried to implement this throughout their company. Hey, what 2 important tasks do you have to do to achieve your metric today? And whatever those are, just make sure those are done by 11 every morning. And, kind of the research that we're doing is like, we're finding out that if 2 important tasks are done every day that actually move your business forward, then do that over 365-day span, your business is going to be moving quite a bit farther forward than it used to be. Right.
Right.
And then the decompression thing, I think, is huge. What are some of the things that you do to decompress? Do you do physical activity? Do you go outdoors?
Yeah. So if it's nice out, I'm huge on walks, and people always make fun of me,
Nice.
but I love to just kind of get out and do a couple laps around the neighborhood or something if the weather's nice. Cause I just think that doesn't get enough credit as far as kind of clearing your mind or even, during the middle of the day, if you're kind of stumped on something, it kind of gets the ideas flowing and helps you kind of get back at it and crush it. So,
Yeah.
Some more physical activity, depending on the time of the day or what's going on. I read, I like to read some different books from, like Tim Ferriss, like you mentioned, and different business leaders to kind of, further the knowledge there. Just kind of relax. I play guitar a lot, so that's a big part of it too, to kind of do that. Yeah, anything that's just kind of takes you away from work, at least, for at least an hour, so to give you enough time to kind of unwind it, to get to sleep, to do it again the next day, I'd say.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there any specific tool that you use for planning your day and planning your week?
Just a notebook,
Cool.
I'm pretty basic about it. I do everything else digitally, as far as kind of managing tasks and things, different project management software and, Google Docs and things like that. The calendar for my day, that's the one thing that I still keep just pencil and paper so that I can cross off things as I do them and write notes. And that's kind of been efficient for me. So.
Very cool. I just started using a tool called the Self Journal.
Oh, okay.
By a company called Best Self Co.
Oh, sure.
One of the founders of that company is in another online community that I'm a part of. And yeah, somebody recommended it to me because I don't know about you, but if I don't plan that day, then I struggle with kind of the monkey mind and always being in different places at one time.
Right.
And so, yeah, if you get a chance, check that out. It's been very helpful to me. And it's funny that you mentioned the weekly planning because I've just most recently started implementing that into my schedule. And
oh, sure.
That's been very powerful as well from a productivity standpoint. When you can map out all the important tasks, on the Sunday night before the week, and you can say what tasks are going to move my business forward, and then you can commit to those. I've seen that to be super powerful, and it sounds like you do the same thing.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out. Definitely. It's always good to find new tools and, see what else is working for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually have an Excel spreadsheet, a Google sheet that I'll share with you after this call.
Yeah, sounds great.
And you can let me know what you think, and maybe we can collaborate on it and get some accountability going.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Well, we are super excited that you were a part of this. I can't thank you enough for coming on and doing this mastermind session with us. Where can people find you on the internet?
Yeah, definitely. No, danmarzullo.com. That's my website. And then, my contact info is on there. And then I'm on LinkedIn too. Those are probably, that's probably where I'm most active is on LinkedIn. So yeah, cool. Definitely anybody needs any help or any advice, please reach out for sure. Absolutely.
Well, great. And spell your last name for everybody, if you don't mind.
Sure. Yeah, so it's just Dan and then MARZULLO.com.
Awesome. Well, guys, make sure to go check out Dan's website. If you are in need of some copy written, I think this is something, and being a marketer, this is something that definitely takes up a ton of time. And if you're at a point in your business to where you can outsource it, by all means, I think it's definitely worth moving to as soon as you possibly can.
Sure.
So Dan, thanks so much for coming on here. Is there anything else that you'd like to add?
No, yeah, I would just say, yeah, thanks, Austin. I appreciate taking the time to talk with me. And yeah, it's great to be part of the group and be able to hopefully offer some value. And yeah, I look forward to kind of networking with the community.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, and we will be talking soon.
All right. Thanks, Austin. Have a good one.
Okay, thanks. You too.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.